Assalamu alaikum, good day everyone. This is Sir Waqas Khan, and in today's class we'll be going through the literary devices. Now, we'll start off our class with the content that actually we'll be covering through today. As all of you most probably know that literary devices consist of different terminologies, right? And in today's class we'll be going through similes, metaphors, personification, hyperbole, imagery, onomatopoeia, and idioms. So let's begin. Let's just first discuss what are literary devices. Now, literary devices are techniques, they are styles, they are different ways and methods through which writers bring their work to life. It's easy to write one line, but it's even more difficult to make the reader actually visualize everything. And that's where literary devices come into play. You make the reader imagine what you actually want to describe. You want to make the reader understand that the wall isn't actually purple, it actually describes the person's expression, it describes the person's emotions, and that's basically where literary devices come into play. So the first literary devices that we'll be covering through right now is a simile. Now, as you can see on your screens, a simile is basically an expression that compares one thing with another thing, right? It compares two objects, it compares two different things or two different characteristics. So an example of simile that you have in front of your screen is life is like a box of chocolate. Another example that you have is the willow is like an etching. Just for your reference, we have a line that says, he ran like a cat, lightly and quickly. What do you assume would the simile be over here? Yeah, I think you guys are correct, and I think it's very obvious as well, right? So the simile over there in this line is going to be he ran like a cat. So the simile you have is basically like. Then another example that you have on your screens is her blue mood passed as quickly as an afternoon rain shower. Over here, what do you think the simile is? Yeah, again, you guys are correct, right? So the simile over here is again as. So basically, what you understand from these examples is that a simile normally comprises of a sentence that has two different words that are either like or as, that is as, right? So you have two words that actually identify, that actually makes you realize, okay, so this line is actually a simile where you're actually comparing two different things, right? So that's basically simile. On your screens again you have my dog is as smelly as dirty socks, right? If I have another example, it could be my cat is as cute as, insert whatever word you want to insert over here. You can also go for something like my friend is as sharp as. Again, you can insert any word that you want to insert over here, and that would make it a simile. So the next literary devices that you have over on your screen is a metaphor. Now a metaphor is basically a comparison between two different objects. It's a comparison between two unlike things. It's a comparison between two, I wouldn't actually go and call it opposites, right? But two different materials, maybe two different characteristics or two different objects. For example, on your screens you have my father is a tall, sturdy oak. The hotel is a diamond in the sky. Who knows if the moon's a balloon, right? So you're basically comparing, you are doing a comparison between two objects that are not similar in any way whatsoever. Then you have on your screens again on the right side more examples. The sun was a gleaming pearl. My baby brother is a cute little teddy bear. My sister's memory is a camera that remembers everything we see. So again, the gist of everything over here is that you are doing a comparison between two objects that are not like each other. You're comparing two different materials. You're comparing two different things. That is basically what you call a metaphor. Moving onwards, you have personification. Now, personification, if you break the word down, you'll actually find the word person inside of it. You'll basically find something that might be related to personality as well. So, personification is basically when you're adding a human characteristics to an animal, object, or an idea. For example, on your screens, you have hunger sat shivering on the road. So hunger is basically a quality that you have on what's a quality? Hunger is basically felt by humans. It's also felt by animals as well. Sat shivering on the road. Now again, the personification that you have over here is sat shivering. Normally, humans are the ones that shiver, right? Animals shiver as well, by the way. Then you have the flowers dance on the lawn. Dance. That is a specific characteristic to human beings, right? flowers do not dance, right? That's very obvious. So flowers do not dance. However, humans do dance, right? So over here, you're adding a humanistic quality. You're adding a personality trait from a human being towards an object that is not human or not human. SpongeBob SquarePants and Smokey the Bear are again personified characters. Next up, you have a hyperbole. And a hyperbole is an exaggeration. Now, I know all of you know what exaggerations are. Exaggerations are basically when your friend starts bluffing. That's an exaggeration. An exaggeration is basically when you know, okay, for example, your friend is saying, makes a statement something like, okay, I can do whatever I want. Now that's an exaggeration. If you should dare that person to actually say that in front of his parents, and then you'll know what's an exaggeration. So on your screens you have an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Again, that's an exaggeration. Yes, it might actually help you, right? It might keep you healthy. An apple might keep you healthy, but that doesn't actually mean that it can keep the doctor away from you for your entire life. That's not just possible. I could sleep for a year. That I think relates to everyone that's listening to this video right now, right? Everyone thinks that they could sleep the entire day. Everyone thinks that they could sleep throughout the year, right? But then again, we all know that's an exaggeration, right? You cannot sleep throughout the year. We all have to play our games, right? This book weighs a ton. Again, yeah, this is something that we say every time, right? Books are heavy. Yes, they are heavy, but they don't weigh a ton. So basically, an hyperbole is an exaggeration. It's basically when you're saying something and you make an entirely different scenario. You exaggerate. You make it so big that you can't even imagine how big it is, right? So that's basically an hyperbole. That's basically an exaggeration. Moving on, you then have imagery. Now, imagery is basically when you want the reader to imagine a scene, when you want the reader to imagine maybe a clip from a video, where you want the reader to imagine a scene from a movie maybe. That's basically imagery. Now imagery basically requires an utmost quality of vocabulary. It requires maximum vocabulary. It requires maximum creativity as well, right? Over here you want the reader to realize, want them to imagine what you're feeling. You maybe have a horror scene over on your text, right? So you actually want the reader to imagine as if he's actually in that horror scene. You want the reader to feel as if he's scared. For example, you may have a scene in your novel that might be something like this. As I entered the dark room, I could feel my spine shivering. I could feel my entire body trembling. I could feel the hair on my arms standing. I could feel goosebumps all across my body. Over here, this is basically you want the reader to imagine, yes, you are scared. Yes, you are afraid of your life. This is basically imagery. Next up, you have onomatopoeia. Now, the I guess the most difficult part of this entire topic, of this specific topic, is that the pronunciation of the word, right? If you guys face difficulties, you can always just Google the word, and that's going to help you out a lot. So, onomatopoeia is basically a word. It's basically a literary device where the word actually explains the meaning, right? The bang of a gun. Now, the moment I say the word bang, you know it's a loud sound, and the object that comes to your mind over here should normally be a gun. The hiss of a snake. Now, there's only a few animals that make hissing sound, right? And I guess the first thing that would come to your mind should be a snake again. The buzz of a bee. Again, the moment I say the word buzz, you know I'm talking about a bee. The pop of a firecracker, right? Again, firecrackers are the objects that pop the most, so you can relate to that sound with that object. The last one that we have is idioms. Now idioms are basically words that have literal meanings, that have different meanings. For example, are expressions with a meaning different from the literal meaning of the word, right? So basically it's something like a double meaning. You might be saying something else, but then you might be meaning something totally different. I got cold feet before my speech. That doesn't mean that you literally got cold feet, right? That doesn't mean that you had ice on your feet. That basically means you were scared. My boss gave me the green light. That doesn't mean that he actually gave you a green signal. That basically means that he said yes. Draw the curtains. That does not mean you actually have to draw the curtains physically, right? That basically means that you had to close the curtains. So idioms are those words, those expressions that have implicit and explicit meanings, that have double meanings, that have double logic, and that have double concepts. So they are not what they seem, right? I hope you guys understood today's lecture. I'll see you guys. I'll be doing another video very soon. See you guys soon. Inshallah. Allah Hafiz, and thank you so much.